What's up guys, Mike here, and welcome back to another My Hero Academia review. This time it's chapter 130, and it's on a Wednesday today rather than a Thursday, which is strange to be honest with you. I'm not going to complain because I love the chapter coming out early, but with the recent weeks of My Hero Academia, the artwork has been going down just a tad, especially in a couple chapters ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and then there was the hiatus last week, and now they're ahead of schedule. I'm just wondering what the hell is going on there, and I can't really complain like I said earlier, but I'm just curious on what's going on behind the scenes a little bit. But either way, let's get into this kind of sad chapter today. The chapter starts out with Sir kind of investigating the overhaul base that we finally get to see from the outside. I guess it wasn't some underground bunker like I thought it was last week, or maybe that's a completely different site, which would be would make a lot of sense to me because the one that they see, Sir says that there has been activity lowering in the past couple days, so less people have been going in and out, and less members of the 8 Percepts of Death. So, and also the place looks pretty nice, which is kind of weird. It's kind of nice out in the open, not too hidden. But I guess that could go for part of their plan, you know, because Shisaki, as we see her later on in this chapter, he's kind of hiding in plain sight a little bit, and he's getting away with it. He's pulling it off completely. We see that Sir goes on to explain that Togata and Izuku didn't really mess up last chapter, you know, but if he did let them, or if he did chase after them, they would have been messed up. But they didn't really. It was kind of Sir's fault. He should have seen it coming. But when Sir was doing his investigating, he found out that there was a truck accident involving multiple people, but no casualties. And this truck accident happened when the 8 Percepts of Death were trying to flee one of their crime scenes of stolen money or something. And apparently the police reported it as no crimes were committed because all the people involved were not injured at the end of the day. And the money that was stolen was appeared to be burnt up to a crisp. Now this part is very interesting, and there's a lot to be theorized about this when it comes to quirks in Overhaul's gang and Overhaul's quirk itself. Now Sir says that the police, or that he suspects that it was a result of Shisaki's quirk, that all those people were able to revert back to their healthy state. All of the people who were involved said that they actually felt a deep pain before going unconscious and coming back completely healed. So it does look like what I said a couple chapters ago is coming to fruition about Overhaul's quirk. We don't know the exact specifics, but it seems like it might be some sort of extreme cell growth or matter manipulation when it comes to bioorganic materials and people and things like that, only living things. Seems like he might be able to completely break them down and then reconfigure them, almost like a JoJo Shining Diamond, if you've ever seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's really interesting and kind of gives a new meaning towards the name Overhaul. And I guess at first I didn't really think that it could have to do with his quirk, but now that we're getting to see this, it's a possibility that it is the fact that he's overhauling someone's complete makeup and genetic composition or whatever, and being able to restructure it in ways that he wants. Or in the case of Magni and other people that Overhaul has killed, being able to just completely stop that process halfway through and just completely destroy them. So very interesting stuff on Overhaul's quirk there. After the conversation they have with Sir, Togata and Izuku basically get sent back to being done for the day. Then we go back to the school and the classroom with all our Class A1 students. Now, a couple students are missing. We have Ochiko, Sue, and one other student, I forget which one, is on a forced or permissible absence, I think it's called, and it's most likely they're on internship training because the only way that you're allowed to get absences is for training. So it's most likely they're out doing their own internships as well. And we see Bakugo and Todoroki a little bit bruised up, so that shows that they are back at their provisional license exam, or they're redoing it. And I really wanted to see that, to be honest with you, but I guess they're kind of just going to do it off screen. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, so I can't blame them for leaving that out. We can't include everything, but it would have been nice to see that for sure, and definitely see them kind of redeem themselves for being assholes earlier. Izuku's kind of sitting in class, and he thinks a bit about his progress lately and how far he's come and how far he's really been able to progress one for all in his ability as a hero. And he kind of realizes that he hasn't really been up to what it takes to be the #1 hero lately. He really needs to kind of pick it up. And I mean, he's trying his best. He's doing everything that he can. And honestly, it's extremely hard for him to just jump into being the best #1 hero that everyone needs him and expects him to be. but at the same time, he does need to live up to it, no matter how hard it actually is. And he's having a little bit of trouble lately, not just lately, throughout the entire series. He's definitely done some amazing heroic things, but there also has been times where he's fall flat. So he's kind of thinking about that and thinking that he needs to change something, and he does have a really determined look on his face, like he is going to make a big change. And he goes and tries to look for All Might and figure out some answers on what the hell is going on behind the scenes before Izuku actually got the One for All quirk. So he goes and looks for All Might, and apparently he's out training, which is kind of interesting. We see that All Might's still stuck on his training days, and I wonder if that's just because he misses being, the #1 hero so much, or he wants to get back into shape. He just really should relax, like they say in this chapter, like Midnight and them say in this chapter. But I guess he's just gonna keep to it. So Izuku goes and tries to chase after him, and basically yells at him and says, "You need to tell me what's going on here." Izuku doesn't understand All Might's intentions when it came to hiding this from him. And he doesn't understand why he would even do this in the first place, and All Might says that he didn't think it would benefit him. But obviously it would, and Izuku was saying this not as a fan, but as his successor. He needs to know why the hell, or what the hell was going on before this, and why All Might chose to hide it from him. So All Might does finally give in and say, like, okay, I will tell you this, but don't feel bad about it or whatever. And he goes and says that him and Sir used to be partners for about 5 years back in the day, and that was 6 years ago when they broke up. And the reason why they broke up is mainly because of a difference in opinions and a difference in values. We go on to see that there's a big fight between All Might and Sir back in the day about All Might's condition as a hero, and whether or not he should be able to retire or to keep fighting as a hero. And obviously Sir thinks that All Might is in too bad a condition to continue as a hero, which he's got a point. I mean, All Might just he pushes himself too far, but at the same time, he wouldn't be All Might if he didn't. That's part of the spot of the #1 hero. You have to push yourself beyond the limits of the normal person, because you're not a normal person. You're the #1 hero, and you can't always look out for #1 because you have everyone else to look out for too. Everyone else relies on you. And it seems like Sir is unable to kind of see that from All Might's perspective, and being able to understand why he is so persistent on saving everybody that he possibly can. It's not because he wants to, it's because he feels like he needs to. It's his responsibility. At this point in the flashback, you can see that Sir is kind of getting a little bit desperate, because he really does care about All Might, and he thinks that not only for the sake of All Might, but for the sake of One for All, that he should just start looking for a new successor. And with that point, I do agree. I think that All Might should have looked for a new successor much, much before the time that he actually did, because he was really injured in this flashback, as we can see from his internal organs injury. And not only that, it goes on to Sir using his foreshadow quirk, or foresight quirk, sorry, to look into All Might's future and see what will happen. When he's using his foresight quirk, he tells All Might that if he continues down this path, he will die a gruesome and terrible death. Now, I may be mistaken about this, but when we got introduced to foresight as a quirk, I believe the explanation said that it only sees an hour ahead for each person that they're looking at. And like I said, I may be wrong about this, but if that's the case, then this doesn't really make sense. I think that Sir might have been actually bluffing when he talked to All Might about his future, but I could be wrong on that completely. I may be misinterpreting this, but if I'm not, it's really weird why that would pop up again. Maybe the fact that Sir wanted to just scare All Might out of being a hero, and maybe scare him into thinking that he'll die a terrible death. I don't know, maybe he actually did see that he will die a terrible death. I just thought this part was kind of really in the gray area when it comes to understanding. So if you guys have any thoughts on this, let me know in the comments below. After that, they decide to split up as partners after that long argument about whether they should retire or not. And eventually All Might just says, fuck you, I'm not going to retire, and we're not going to be partners anymore, I guess. So it's fun while it lasted, Sir. And I guess it was coming eventually, I think. Their personalities just don't mix. I think that Sir is more practical as a hero. He thinks more logically about things. But All Might thinks more from the just general perspective of what the #1 hero should think. And yes, he's got to think of himself as well, but like I said earlier, he's got the responsibility of all these people that he has to take care of. So he can't just think of himself. Now this is the really sad part of the chapter, unfortunately. We get into seeing this final little panel between All Might and Izuku, where All Might finishes his sentence by saying, yeah, they suggested Toga to me, but I never actually met him before I met you. And that's the part that really kind of takes away from Izuku's confidence completely. He has a look on his face of utter just shock and sadness almost, and it is really sad to see Izuku finally realize this. And actually, as an audience, it's actually sad to see this as well, because we didn't really know whether All Might actually met Togata or not before. But now we know that he didn't even really have the choice of giving it to someone who could have possibly used it better, practically wise. I think still that Izuku still has the mind of a hero better than Togata does when it comes to saving who needs to be saved and doing what needs to be done. But I do think that Togata's abilities would have been much, much more well suited for One for All, and especially the combination between the two would have been almost unbeatable by many, many quirks. It's really depressing to see that's this state of All Might actually, and it seems like he's actually even regretting it himself, giving it to Izuku. And I wonder if that's the case, I wonder if we will see that. But from the way that All Might is kind of ignoring Izuku, he's kind of walking away from him as he's saying, yeah, I didn't really want to have to tell you this, but since you were my fan, you know, I'm sorry. And he's still just walking away, kind of just saying, yeah, well, we both fucked up. I fucked up by not meeting Togata before you. I probably would have... It seems like All Might is subtly saying, you know, I might have given it to Togata, but I met you first. And it's just such a slap in the face to Izuku, as if he's not been through enough. You know, he's had his confidence questioned enough. He really just needs someone to encourage him in order to be the #1 hero. And I mean, he needs more than just encouragement to get to that spot that he needs to be at. He needs himself to go through some development as well. So maybe this will actually provide more development for Izuku in the future. We're not really sure, but either way, this chapter was really, really sad, but it was a good one. I enjoyed it like I do every other chapter. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for this one. If you liked the video, drop me a like and subscribe if you want. And I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.